Today, Gary and I are clearing up some of the most commonly held beliefs that aren't exactly true. Because here at Taboo Education, we believe more knowledge helps you make better decisions. So let's talk common death myths. You won't decompose in a coffin. No matter if your body has been put in a cheaper plywood coffin or a sealed metal casket, you will still decompose. Your body is organic matter, it's not styrofoam. However, it will take you longer if you are in a sealed metal casket, but you will also spend a lot of that extra time in a quasi-soup form. So, yeah. You won't decompose if you're embalmed. I'd like to think that this was just wishful thinking and people don't actually believe this, but I've been wrong before. Mortuary type embalming is meant to hold the body together only for a week or so. Even with the best embalmers, with commands to make the corpse last forever, a body will decompose eventually. And I'm looking at you, Lennon Lab. After 30 years, you'll be dug up. In some countries, this is true. In Australia, not so much. Depending on which state you're buried in, you may be rearranged after a period and sent lower into the earth so they can fit someone else in the grave. But you won't be dug out of the ground and tossed into a pile somewhere. Pretty sure the media would have cottoned on to that by now. Very broadly speaking, New South Wales, ACT, Northern Territory, Queensland and Tasmania have perpetual tenure, meaning that you will be in that hole forever without being disturbed. In South Australia and WA, there is renewable tenure, usually around the 50-year mark, where you will be left in that hole, but you will have to make way for a new grave mate. Hair and nails continue to grow after death. No. If it did, we'd be digging up 100-year-old bodies with nails that are a foot long. This is one of the many reasons that the vampire myth ran for so many centuries. It sometimes looks like this is true simply because of the fact that the skin shrinks after death due to moisture loss, causing hair and nails to look slightly longer. So you will be shriveled in death, but you may finally have those long nails you've always wanted. Palliative care hastens death and it's the beginning of the end. I know this isn't necessarily a boomer comment, but they do seem to say it a hell of a lot. Palliative care ensures that you have the best quality of life until your death. Palliative care provides physical, emotional, social and spiritual support for you and your family. Many studies have shown that people with advanced illness who receive palliative care have an improved quality of life and have been shown to, in fact, live longer than people with the same advanced illness who do not receive palliative care. But if you want to throw a tantrum about it, go right ahead. Cremation results in ashes. We all use the term ashes, but what's left after cremation isn't actually ashes. They're actually cremated remains, which consists of pulverized bone fragments. Everything else other than the bones is incinerated during the cremation process, and the remaining skeletal remains are legally required to be ground into a fine, grainy powder. So calling them ashes might be a bit of death denial, but let's face it, the term ashes does roll off the tongue a bit better. Cremation is eco-friendly. Not really. The cremation process itself is not eco-friendly in the least. One cremation causes the same amount of environmental damage as an 800-kilometre car ride. That's like driving from Sydney to Melbourne only for one body. Additionally, some of the things you may choose to do with the cremated remains afterwards, like many of those mentioned in our unique things to do with cremated remains video, may or may not use environmentally friendly methods. The argument for cremation being more environmentally friendly is because once you're done with the fiery part, there's no land needed for burial, no embalming chemicals, no grave liner, vault or casket, or any cemetery maintenance. So, you know, pros and cons. They won't find the corpse if I put it in water. You would really think after all these years, murderers would have worked this one out. In a nutshell, when a body starts to decompose, it produces a lot of gas, which makes those suckers very buoyant. And bodies decompose 4 times faster in water than they do on land. So unless you dropped it into some extremely cold water, it's going to float. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please help the channel out by giving us a like and subscribing. Let us know in the comments what death myths the people around you believe. Thanks for watching from Gary and I. Now go talk death.